Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, December 9th, and this is Morning Market Movers, where we do live analysis for day trading. I'm Todd Rich with Nadex with me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. What do we have today? I mean, we've got some things moving. We've got oil, we've got equities, we've got metals, all looking slightly in the red as we're going to open up. In fact, we're definitely going to take a look at how oil rolled over yesterday on that oil inventory report, and we saw some pretty interesting technical levels. We're going to take a look at what's going on in the equity markets, and I tell you, something really fascinating is happening with metals. As we've got CPI tomorrow, and we are going to look at what's going on with gold and silver, both getting clipped this morning. But before we get into that, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. Before I flip it over to Brian, certainly we could take a look at, yesterday I was looking at the wrong at the wrong number. I tell you, your guys go blurry sometimes, but we were expecting oil inventories to drop by 1.7 million barrels. We almost came in unchanged. We've got oil, which is why you saw oil's rally stall out yesterday, and then we eventually rolled over. And then, you know, what is interesting, I'm sure we love to talk about it, is well, we've got the oil. Not only that, we do have gasoline. I mean, we are expecting to add almost 1.8 million barrels of gasoline. We've almost got 3.9 million extra barrels of gasoline. Why aren't we seeing that at the pump? It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. By the way, on the calendar for today, we did also just get some initial the weekly jobless claims, and the employment environment looks okay. But we are seeing weakness in the equities. So, Brian, let me flip it over to you. Let's talk about oil first. Then we can take a peek at the equities,
Mhm.
and then the fun part. I mean, those metals are moving.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, on a global kind of view right now, there's not a lot happening. Currencies right now, it's strange when you have the big eight and one, two, three, four, five of them are in single digit moves in 24 hours. Yen is about the only thing that has any movement right now, and it's bringing in yen strength right now. Dollar yen down, pound yen down, both about 49 to 56. That's it. And then dollar cat is up. It's retracing, right, because of oil. Yesterday's oil inventory is probably the big reason why we're seeing it today. Uh, there, I don't know. This is one of those situations where we had the API and the EIA completely off base. EIA had a down draw of what was minus 3 million barrels. Yesterday, the government number came in at minus zero point 0.2. So the forecast was minus 1.5. So everybody expected to be a much bigger downdraw, and that wasn't the case in oil. So, where oil is sitting right now, yesterday we saw really kind of oil snap back and forth in the early session, and then it ended at just a little bit higher. It came down. I don't need this at all. It had like a very, very quick short trade and then started to rally back up again as everybody saw that number. And now we're starting to see kind of the increase in supply, or the increase in supply driving the price down. The reason we know that is because it really started to switch last night at about 10 p.m. Like literally by 11:30 yesterday, it did nothing. It just stayed in that same zone, and you can see it just went sideways, sideways, sideways. Basically butted up against the level that we talked about in the European session. It just couldn't get through, but it hit once, it hit twice, it hit three times. Base and finally four, it peeked its head out and then came back and based again. And that was about 10 o'clock last night, and so nothing but retrace back down again. So
That's 73. I mean, it could not punch through
yeah,
73.
73 is right there. So again, level we talked about, no crystal ball. It's just that's where sellers were in the past. I would say right now we do have an area where buyers have supported this down here at 70.89. We've had two touches on it, but barely breached it whatsoever. With all the negativity and this pushing down in the overnight, I actually wouldn't be surprised if we have a bit of a reversal this morning, just because again, U.S. market, we love our oil. We're not getting rid of oil anytime soon. It, they got it. Something's got to give. Yeah, there's extra supply, but you know there's not really any headlines out there that are justifying it right now. Everything I would say right now globally is everything's kind of set up for anti-US this morning, but again, that can turn very, very fast once the US trader gets in there and can start defending himself. So I would say a potential area is a 70.89. Um, look for a confirmation bounce on it, and it can probably come back up into that at least 72 range. 72, maybe 72.50 today, I think is what it is. I think the big question on this one is going to be, is this preparing for CPI tomorrow? CPI, again, today, there's really nothing. We had unemployment claims came in better than expected. There's a 30-year bond auction that's not going to affect oil, and then there's Canadian governor speaking tomorrow morning. Though we have ECB president speaking at 4 a.m. and then 8:30 the CPI in the court, and that's where all the inflation has really been stacked in. So far, the projections for that are high. I mean, they're a little bit less than before, but still 0.7, not transitory. Now that it's great that they're not using that word anymore. But remember, most of it has been stacked inside of the energy. So is this move down right now? Is this a preparation for kind of another spike tomorrow? Could be. But again, just because the overnight has been nothing but straight down, I do believe there'll be some profit taking coming in and potential reversal at 70.89.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, we do. I have the actually. I'm going to flip this over here. I mean, these are things that we've identified. That 71 level, it was resistance earlier. A week ago. Now it's going to act as some support. It's already acted as support a couple of times. We had that 73 level as resistance up above. So right now we've just sort of in the last day or so bouncing between 73 and 71. We'll see what happens once the U.S. trader steps in. In fact, look at this. It's really, I'm going to extend this out. It's getting close. It wants to get down there to the 71. And we're close. So, all right, let's take a quick peek at equities because we are seeing them all roll over a little bit. Everything's opening slightly in the red after. I mean, it's sort of like the rally is definitely stalled out after people realized Omicron isn't quite as severe, at least, or doesn't appear as severe as initially feared.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw a big drop down in the VIX, and I think that really adds to it. Right now, today, it says it's up 4%. It's up a little bit in the overnight, nothing too crazy. Again, no major headlines out there I think we need to really worry about. The only thing I found today, Omicron-wise, is the UK talking about their Plan B. And again, Plan B in the UK was really kind of how to limit exposure in the response to emergency situations. But again, if Omicron is turning out to be not a big deal, it kind of becomes not anything big. But that's the only person that's the only government-based news. The only other headlines is you're hearing about that head-to-head, and actually, I need to be corrected. Yesterday, I said there was no head-to-head studies. Yeah, there actually is a head-to-head study now. Harvard actually conducted a head-to-head study between Moderna and Pfizer. Pfizer is the big headline. They're going to always be the marketing giant, but in the head-to-head right now, they're showing that Moderna actually has, while both working, it actually has a better result. But now they're saying that actually mixing will give you an even better one. Better result, just because again it works on kind of different strains and different avenues and things, and that makes sense. In hearing about other vaccinations out there's different companies that have different things, and they all work for different minor strains and everything. So kind of makes sense. But there is actually a head-to-head, so I just want to make sure I go on record that I was wrong. I said there was none. There actually is one now.
Finally,
and Moderna won. Pfizer will never admit to that. And one of my students yesterday made a comment. What did he say? He said, I may not be wrong, or I may not be right, but I'm not wrong. So told me that's how I can win arguments with my wife. I may not be right, but I'm not wrong. But anyway, I think for CPI, I think that's going to be important. I think that's why we're seeing again the markets move the way they are. CPI, obviously, there is talks about Powell. How is he going to really change his tone? How fast are we going to raise? In preparation for that, again, if he stays with his rather timid tone, indices should be green tomorrow. Right now, they're red because, again, VIX is up, and it's a very weird scenario. All U.S. equities are down. All commodities, oil, natural gas, gold, and silver, all down. Currencies are kind of just totally flat. The cryptos are all down about 2.3%, which, again, big thing. They're back under 50K. And yet TLT is also gapping higher. When bonds start gapping higher, tends not to be the best day for equity because it shows, again, taking money out of risk assets and putting it back into the tried and true, right? The guaranteed money. So kind of weird. But as far as the different indices go, I mean, ES right now, there was I would say there's a little bit of a trade yesterday, but again, it was really kind of a splash back and forth. You had to drop down to a 5-minute chart to really find this zone to take this one long. We're basically in the exact same spot we were yesterday. Yellow
No
circles where we
man's land.
we're right there. So we went down a little bit, went up a little bit, we came back down, and it's not exactly sure what it's going to do. So as of right now, and again, we're going to drop this down to a 15. I would say right now, I mean, there's not really strong zones either direction. I drew this yesterday. I was like, wow, that looks really good. You have this kind of channel going on right here, and people will be looking at that channel. And I would say I'm not a huge channel trader. I am, I'm a big believer of, kind of reversion of the mean. But at this point, again, overall, it is showing down. The VIX is increasing. Is there a great area to take this one short? I say not really. I mean, I don't have it right now. Maybe in 30 minutes from now, there'll be a little bit better of an opportunity for this one. But right now, it's looking like it's just not going to be stellar. And again, a lot of this may have to do with the market preparing for tomorrow, assuming
Right.
that Powell is going to be, maybe it's finally time that inflation is not going to be as bad, right? Maybe tomorrow, maybe this point, last time it came in above, maybe now it comes in as the 0.6. And then everybody will be like, oh, look, the inflation's not as bad. We told you it only took 8 months, but it's not as bad. And then that could be a really big rally point for all the indices. And again, I think there's an important level down here at 46.44 in the yes. In Q, there was a little short trade last night. We've been talking about 16,400 for about a week now. We did hit it yesterday morning early, and then it pushed all the way down. And then again, if I extend this across, you can see it hit it again, and it's 3/4 of the way down. So even on a 15-minute, I would say again, short side, be very, very cautious with this one. 16,266. The thing I like about this 16,266 though is when we looked at how it was formed with 4 candles with no pullbacks at all. So that's an automatic trigger for a racetrack trade for me with a short position. So I'm kind of looking for something over here, looking for a Harry Potter. Again, that confirmation entry. Your 1 to 3 is here. Technically, our profit target on this one would be back down in this area. So would be right here. So it's definitely a possible one for me. NQ, if again this really starts to roll over, again it's really kind of chopping back and forth as well, kind of in the middle of a range. We know we have buyers down here. Again, they've saved it here, saved it here, saved it here, but that's 3 touches, looking for a drop, a base, and then again a crash through.
Yeah, and
again, NQ in particular, again, gapped a little. We've got the little bit lower. We're slightly lower right now, but again, you're starting to see kind of lower highs being put in and lower lows starting to, at least in Apple. Again, everybody yesterday was talking about how Apple's on an all-time high, right? We hit that $76. There'll be some profit taking on that one right now. And then again, Tesla, kind of the same thing. Kind of ended on the peak, and then in the after hours, it started to drop, and it also looks like it's starting to put lower highs and lower lows in. Again, there's a number of different reasons why.
and that's such a big component of the Nasdaq that would help push that Nasdaq lower. I mean, right now we've got a lot of consolidation going as people are just the market's taking a bit of a pause, a bit of a breather.
Lamb's bouncing.
Yeah, and if we see if you see that those setups, I mean, looking to break lower, you definitely want to see that confirmation. I mean, sometimes you don't get every single trade, but you do look for that confirmation move where it touches the level, pulls back a little bit, and then it breaks through, which is that Harry Potter move. What I really like to talk about,
and Dow and Russell, the same thing. Just FYI, guys, real fast. I don't want to cut you off. Sorry, Todd.
Yeah, no.
And look for these big psychological levels. Yesterday, we dinged off of that 35,800, and we're pulling back down again, and it's approaching the 35,500, which is a very, very big level. Russell did the same thing. It bounced off 2275. It hit here, 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 and it's slowly starting to head back down again. And remember, 2250, right about where we are right now, is technically another level as well, because again, it does end in the a zero. 5-0. So again, another level right here. This could be a potential bounce, and again, we had a long position set up here yesterday. So again, maybe another opportunity at the open to take this one long and play the reversal in the overnight. And then what was it you were going to move towards?
What we do want to, well, I mean, we certainly have the equities. I mean, it's kind of quiet. We're seeing that little bit of a pullback, maybe some profit taking as people wait to see with the CPI. I did drop in the calendar for today. You can take a look at tomorrow. But before Brian and I go on tomorrow, we are going to have those CPI numbers, and there could be some movement based on what we're seeing with inflation. And this is what's going on right now, and I'm not sure why we're doing this, and maybe this is a setup for tomorrow. But let's take a look at silver. I mean, I'm not. It's making, and this is a pretty significant move for silver to make like this, and it's just heading straight to the downside. It's blown through every
Hmm.
binary strike, the short duration binary strikes,
Hmm.
um, and then we're seeing something similar-ish in gold. So let's take a look at
Hmm.
what is going on with silver and gold.
Yeah,
Again, we got that CPI tomorrow. I think they're probably related.
yeah, I mean, obviously, we've really been kind of stuck at that 22, 28. We mentioned yesterday, not a level we want to take it long. It's just been hit so many times, but it's nice to know what it's doing there. And again, when it started basing above early morning today, that typically is a telltale sign that they're starting to build sellers right above. And it did. It basically it based, then finally got enough momentum, crashed through. Now we do have another level, and this is a level that I want to bring back. We talked about this one, God, forever ago. This level was originally created back in September. It was actually a Harry Potter trade setup because, again, we had that racetrack ability there. There are some buyers there, and I guess if I wanted to really kind of shrink this down a little bit, um, let's see, how far is that down? Yeah, we just kind of broke through it right now. You're seeing actually kind of the setup happen right now as we're looking for that Harry Potter. As price is pushing down, it's starting to kind of struggle to come back again. But we know we have a racetrack and we have really kind of smooth sailing down to 2151 or 2150, which would be another psychological level. I would say right now, everything we're seeing in the market is considered risk off. Equities down, silver, gold, commodities down, the cryptos down, TLT up. Again, it means that money, they're taking cash out of these risky assets. Silver is kind of like I don't know. I would put silver and Bitcoin in the same area. Remember, those are the two Wall Street bets kind of, listen, throw
The
everything in
meme
Bitcoin and then,
commodity. It's a
yeah, meme.
meme commodity.
Yeah, it's the meme commodity. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of, yeah, it's, and I guess actually, I guess the way somebody explained it the other day is silver is the gold is like Litecoin, I guess, is to Bitcoin, but nobody talks about Litecoin anymore. So I think they're still trying to be relevant. But at this point now, Bitcoin's like, no, 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 we're. So again, all it is kind of a risk off type scenario. And I do think that silver coming down to 2150 could be, could be in preparation for tomorrow. But again, at the same time, we've been under forecasted for so long, eventually you will have the opposite side of the spectrum where inflation is not quite as high. Again, remember, this is the time frame when Omicron was starting to come out, right? So could inflation not be as bad this month because of Omicron, because of Black Friday sales, and because of everything during the last month period of time? Sure, it could be. We could definitely have less inflation during that time frame, and if that's the case, again, that doesn't necessarily bode well. This could be a very, very big push to the downside for silver and gold, and really the cryptos at that point. So
So
it's
yeah,
kind
I
of,
mean,
it's kind of setting up that way.
it is kind of interesting. I mean, it's making a move, and that's a pretty big move for silver right
Mhm.
before the CPI number tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, definitely going to be kind of an interesting time for silver. Here, do you mind? And if you wanted to, do you want to bring up gold quickly? Just take a peek at it
Yeah,
before we jump
yeah.
out of here.
That's a 2% drop in 2 hours. So I mean that's quite a big one. And again, gold's in a very similar pattern. Right. Same thing. Actually, this was a European-based move. European-based move is right here, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's your open. So I would actually expect gold to probably rebound a little bit. Like I said, gold does have. There's a little bit more wealth management with gold than there is silver, but we know. And again, this is really ugly. So excuse the drawing here, but we have buyers stepping in here before at 72 or 1772. We're kind of getting that same area, and it's also it's a rollover time. It's U.S. session trader coming online. So a couple different things. Buyers here, buyers here. Could they come in right around the 1770? Probably. They've done it in the past.
Yep.
Is it the strongest of levels? Not really. But then again, is there anything driving the number right now?
No.
Also, not really. So,
All right.
not till tomorrow.
Perfect. All right. Yep. With that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customer service at nadex.com. If you've got questions for Brian, he is also very accessible. You can catch Brian, email him support at keeptradingsimple.com. What did we talk about today? I mean, we have, oil moving around, surplus, or not a surplus, but certainly not a reduction in oil supply from yesterday. Uh, we're seeing equities sell off a little bit, maybe consolidate a little bit after the run up that we had after the massive sell off, the whole Omicron volatility move. And then we've got CPI tomorrow. We're going to get a glimpse into some inflation numbers, and we've got silver really bottoming out before the CPI number. I don't know if that's people setting up for a trade for tomorrow, but certainly something to keep an eye on today and tomorrow, silver and gold. With that, Brian and I will catch you again tomorrow morning right after that CPI number comes out. Thanks for joining us, and we will catch you tomorrow. Good luck in the markets, everyone. Thanks.